Coming up next is a gentleman that I respect. We had worked on, or I follow his page actually on YouTube, none other than this gentleman who in 2015 was the president of Impact Leaders Club and was rated the most impactful social clubs in Lagos at the time. Yomi Ojute is a people and business development professional. He has trained and mentored hundreds of individuals and entrepreneurs across different states of the Federation. He's a founder of the Leadership Factory, a people development organization. He is a certified health and safety professional and a trainer at Premise Consulting. He's committed to helping people and organizations move from where they are to where they envision to be. He's a community engagement and development practitioner. He serves on the executive board of Akoka Community Development Association. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome this nation builder and impactful leader, Yomi Ojute.
To be the best, number one and nothing less. Lead me to my destiny. I have waited patiently. I have vision, though I believe. I know I can count on me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Here we go, it's getting close. Now it's just who wants it most.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to start on a very, very, very angry note. You know why? I finished from the University of Lagos. And I was surprised that our compare said that Bowen University is better than University of Lagos. I am angry because University of Lagos is called the University of First Choice. In fact, somebody said there are only two universities in the world, University of Lagos and others. So you guys need to apologize to me officially by sending a mail to yomiojuti@yahoo.com and say that we are sorry and University of Lagos is the best university. I think we deserve a round of applause for that. Don't you think so? Okay, you guys are still beefing. Second, when I was listening to the lady that sang the anthem, I was laughing. Guess why? I actually thought I was listening to and watching the FIFA World Cup. So interesting. You know, maybe that's the only reason why Bowen University is better than University of Lagos. You know, yeah. The anthem sounds very, very professional. I think you deserve a round of applause for that. So nice. I like it. 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 And maybe I'm considering doing. Maybe I'll just come and do a one-year course in Bowen University, so I can probably learn the anthem. Lastly, I want to appreciate the guys that put this together. You know, though I got to this university 1 a.m. this morning, 1 a.m. But I can say that Toby, Michael, Femi, and all of these guys that put this together have shown to me and my colleague Freeman Oshunuga is going to be here very soon, that young people like me have the capacity to show high level of excellence. This morning, they offered me 3 loaves of bread, butter, and 2, I think, what's that thing called? I don't even know. And the fact that they were able to show that if we are students, but we can show excellence and create a project or a program like this that would be of value to people. Well, I don't think that when I was their particular age, I had done this kind of thing before. So I think that we need to give them a round of applause for that. Let's thank them. That's a great one. Great one, guys. I appreciate it. And my last appreciation will go to everybody seated here today. The lady that said she sacrificed 8 hours of reading. I'm gonna be smart, to have come for a conference. Because at the end of the day, I don't think young people value these kind of programs and these kind of events on the note that they have to learn something that would not even reflect in their exams. Because I don't think in medical school they will ask you what is leadership. Am I correct? It's probably, they'll ask you, which university they go? They'll probably ask you, where's your brain, where's your all of these things. But for you to sacrifice 8 hours of reading, to learn something of worth, and everybody seated here today, I think we deserve a round of applause. So let's clap for ourselves. So I have 41 minutes more to let us know why I'm here. Like he said, I was privileged to serve on the board of Impact Leaders Club. I'm even surprised you know that. How did you guys know that I was in Impact Leaders Club? Did you research or someone told you? You live in Lagos. Wow. So you knew about Impact Leaders Club. Yes. I was privileged to be the first president of Impact Leaders Club. In fact, the pioneer president. And that opportunity changed everything I do. In fact, everything I'm doing now can be traced back to my experience at the Leadership Training Conference and Leadership Training Academy I attended. And right now, as a full-time job, I run the Leadership Factory. And that experience cannot be forgotten. So thank you once again for recommending me. I'm going to be speaking to us today on a very practical topic titled Life and Time Management Principles for Personal Effectiveness. I've had the privilege to teach this topic a lot of times, so I'm going to be teaching, ensuring that everything I teach is very practical. And like some of us are already doing, please let's ensure that we write our pen, our books, and it's going to be really practical. Next slide. So there are 2 things I really want to achieve today. 2 things I want to achieve today. The first thing I want to achieve is that I want to ensure that all participants are able to gain control over their use of time by becoming more intentional. And also that I want to help everybody here get mental clarity of your priorities. And also, I want you to be able to invest your energy in what I call your priorities and the things that lead to success. So that is my goal here, and I want you to please help me and ensure that you take note and everything. Next slide. So the first thing I want to do today is to ensure that I'm able to bring together so that we can understand where leadership and time management come together. Because if you do not know this, you might be confused. Why leadership and time management? Why should I be learning time management in a leadership class or in a leadership conference? It is very simple. The first thing we need to understand is what is leadership. I've come to understand leadership as the capacity to be responsible for problems that do not directly concern you. I come again. Leadership is the capacity to be responsible for problems that do not in one way or the other concern you directly. If you understand that definition, you will get to know that leadership is not for exactly personal gain. I am not a leader because I want to necessarily satisfy my personal hunger. I want to go into leadership essentially because I want to be a problem solver. Everybody today regarded to be a leader, not someone in a leadership position. Let me make that clear. The VC of Bowen is in a leadership position. Am I correct? But the fact that the VC is in a leadership position does not necessarily translate that the VC is a leader. Do you get me? So leadership is more of dispositional. It's actually how I think. It's actually how I look at things. It is my perspective to life. They call perspective, or they call pattern of thoughts of all leaders, is actually problem solving. You know, a leader looks at the condition of this place right now and says that this all, Chris Alabi all, it is good enough, but we can make it better. Am I correct? So he has been able to picture in his mind what the future of Chris Alabi all is like. And in the dictionary of leadership, they call that vision. Am I correct? So how does time work with this understanding of leadership? What happens is that every of those things I want to achieve, the problems I want to solve, is always done in the framework of time. Every of the goals I have as a person, I want to probably move myself from point A to point B. I want to move from not being successful to being successful. This journey is done in the framework of time. So time is the most common thing that is common to every man. And so that is the intersection between time and leadership. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yes, so I'm going to start with some quotes. I put them down so that we could learn from them. The first quote is that the bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you are the pilot. I come again. The bad news is that time flies, and the good news is that you are the pilot. What that means is that anywhere and anything I use my time for is a function of what I choose. You know, the guy that flies Airpeace or Arik Air decides where the plane is going to, am I correct? And that person is called a pilot. So whatever I do with my time is a function of my decision. The next quote says that it is not enough to be busy. The question is, what are you busy doing? So many of us think that it is by doing 50 things in a day that makes us effective. Actually, what counts is not the amount of things that you do. We're going to see that as we go on, but the quality of things that we do. The last quote I'm going to be looking at today is by Nnamdi Azikiwe. He said, "Give me back my youth time, and I will pay any price for it." I actually chose that essentially because the time that we have today as young people, how many of us, except for mommy, is more than 30 years? How many of us here? How many of us here? Fantastic. I'm not even up to 30 years, so I have time to. The idea is that this period of our lives is going to determine the next 50 years that you're going to have. If any of us get to live up to 80, it's not a must. You get it. Even Jesus Christ was 33, so you don't have to be 90. You know, one of my friends wants to go by 50. He's fine by that. You know, so the idea is the time that we have now is the best time ever you can ever get again. You know what somebody said? Someone said that if you sleep for 8 hours every day, man, when you are 75, you will have slept for 25 years. Actually, 8 hours is like 1/4 of 24 hours. Am I correct? What happens is that when you are 75, you will have slept for 1/4 of your life. Can you imagine? You sleep for 8 hours every day. By 75, you will have slept for 25 years. So this time that we have now at our disposal cannot and should not be wasted. Nnamdi Azikiwe was a successful guy, but now he's saying that he wants his youth back. You know, youth is exemplified by energy, exemplified by creativity, exemplified by the audacity to take risk. That is why he said, I want my youth back. In fact, in organizations now, you know why the age for employing people has now been dropped to 26? Because they now believe that when you are 27 and 28, you're not thinking of you want to marry, you want to give birth. You don't have time to actually think on the job again. So the possibility of you being creative is really slow and low.
Is it not fine? It's not, sorry? It's not sounding well? Okay, so I should use this. Oh, this is better. Okay, thank you so much. So that's the idea. We have to take this time that we have seriously. Next slide. So I'm going to be looking at about 6 truths about time, things that we need to know about time that are very, very important, very, very key. Next slide. And the first one is that time cannot be managed. You know, the name of this course or this session I'm taking is time management. Am I correct? But I want to shock everybody today that time cannot and will not and will never be managed. The reason is because if you look at your dictionary to check what management means or to manage something means, to manage something simply means to be in control, to be able to influence a thing to become what you want it to be. So when they say somebody is managing a company, he is in control of the company. When somebody is saying he can influence a company, it means is that he has the capacity to change the company. So I want to ask you, man, can you change time? Can you control time? If you cannot control time, if you cannot influence time, it then means that time cannot be managed. What we can do to time is that we can only manage ourselves in time. I come again. What we can actually do is that we cannot manage time, we can manage ourselves in time. So I have 24 hours. What I can do is that I can now decide to be the pilot of my life as regards what I do within that 24 hours. Do we get it? Next slide. The next thing I have to say is that time is the only universal currency in the world. How many of you have been to United Kingdom before? How many people? Bowen University. Okay, let me bring it down. How many of you have been to Ghana before? Ghana, okay, now. I know it will be much. How many of you have been to Nigeria before? Okay. I thought Bowen University students, Okay, my point is, when you move away from Nigeria, out of Nigeria, you have to change the naira. Am I correct, man? For you to have any transaction, you have to change the naira to the currency of that nation, right? But you see, when you go to Ghana, when you go to United Kingdom, when you go to Austria seems to be like what's it called? I think one of the countries that is really, really, really far, right? But you see, in Austria, in UK, in Canada, they still use time. They still use what? Time. You don't need to change it. You need to go there and you meet time. You don't need to ask the aboki how much is 1 hour now. Do you get? It's 1 hour there, 5 hours here. It is a universal currency. Time is obtainable in London. Time is obtainable in China. Time is what? Very universal. The next thing is that time is fixed and constant. We do not have 30 hours in Germany and 5 hours in Berlin. Even though it's the same Germany. It is 24 hours in London as well as 24 hours in Canada. Am I correct? Time, in fact, every time we have a leap year, time is still 24 hours. You know, a leap year is an additional year, am I correct? 24 hours doesn't change. It is always what? 24 hours. And the reason why I always put these points there is to let us know that the fact that time doesn't change, man, is an opportunity for us to predict the outcome of time. Anything that doesn't change is predictable. Except Jesus comes today, we are still going to have 24 hours today. It then means that by today, I can plan what will happen tomorrow because I'm still going to have the same 24 hours. Pounds can change today. In fact, yesterday before leaving for Osun State from Lagos State, I followed my aunt to Yaba Market, and she wanted one of our uncles came back, and we had to change money. When I was online, man, I saw $1 to naira between 355 and 361. When we got to the bank, it had changed. So, in a natural currency like money, you can't predict. It shakes, it changes. But time, in the next 50, 70, 100, 150, 1 million years, would always be what? 24 hours. 60 minutes to make 1 hour, 24 hours to make 1 day. This is an opportunity to everybody sitting down here that I can now predict what I do because time doesn't change. Next slide. Now, this is actually the most important thing I actually want to say. Is that time is life. If you examine how old you are, if you are 20 here today, you're seated here today, it only shows that you've been able to live 24 hours times 60 or 20 years. Am I correct? And what you do between 1963 the day you die is a function of how long you lived. Time is life. You cannot count your life outside of time, and you cannot count time outside your life. You can write that down. You cannot count your life outside of time, and you cannot count time outside of life. In fact, time was created for you to count your life. I come again. Time was created essentially for you to be able to evaluate your life. And that is why you see that even organizations, man, they have what they do January to February. They check it. What have you been able to achieve between this quarter? Am I correct? That's because there is time to evaluate my life. So time is life. Next slide. Is that time cannot be stopped. You know, I remember waking up Monday morning. I studied philosophy in school. And when I remember that I have logic that Monday morning, I don't want to stand up from my bed. How many of us are like that? Especially in mathematics, Monday, you have mathematics for 2 periods when you were in SS1 on a Monday morning. How many of you can relate? You will want to sleep back. Like, mommy, in fact, you will tell your mommy, I have headache. Mommy, I think that God does not want me to go to school today. You know, but even when you make that decision, you cannot stop 9 a.m. Monday morning, Mr. Sanusi's class from holding. Because your own thoughts, your own action does not have the capacity to stop time. Look at that young man there. Maybe he has a deadline to meet. He has to submit his project probably by 9:30. You know what he's trying to do? He's trying to hold the time. Tell this guy, go jump, man. It's not possible. You can't stop time. Time is what? On a continuous move. Next slide. The last thing I want to say about truths about time is that successful time usage. You see, I used my word very rarely. I didn't say management because you can't manage time. You can only use it. Any time management is out of your control. It's external to what you can do. Successful time usage is not about number of activities, but the quality of activities in respect to your goals and vision for your life. yesterday night and stroke today's morning, Martins mentioned that his goal is to go into investment banking. Right? Martins, am I correct? And I think, is he Azan or one of the guys I'm trying to remember, said he wants to get into public speaking. Am I correct? You know what happens? If Martins, because the other guy is studying a book by Dale Carnegie, How to Win People and How to Win and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, is reading a book or a good book on public speaking, watching Fela Durotoye, watching Yomi Ojute, watching Freeman Oshunuga, watch all those fantastic guys up there, watching how they speak, how they articulate their words well, how they're able to engage the crowd appropriately. And Martins wants to do that. In fact, Martins did everything the other guy did times 5. You know what will happen? Martins will be going rather far from his goal, though he's doing more than the number of activities the other guy is doing. But the other guy, even though he's just doing one thing every day deliberately in line with his goal, he's using time well. Who agrees with me? Because the principle of time usage is that whatever I do with my time should be as a function of where I am heading. So if you want to be a footballer and what you are doing is watching Telemundo, you know, there are footballers and there are footballers. You be the footballers. Because what you are doing with your time does not correlate with your goal. So tell your neighbor, ask your neighbor, what are you doing with your time? Is it in relation to your goal? Let's move on. So, there was this metrics developed by Stephen Covey. It's called the time management metrics. And that is where I'm really going to be telling us how to discover our priorities and the kind of activities we should be doing or we should be using our time for. Next slide, let's go there. Please, can we all see this? If you can't see, just put up your hands. If you can't see this. Okay, so I probably have to read it out for us so that I want us to actually draw it and put it down. So here we have 4 quadrants. This is actually a quadrant. And please just listen carefully. I have 19 minutes more, so I'm trying to make use of my time so well. Now, in quadrant 1, this is quadrant 1, right? Quadrant 1 signifies activities that are urgent and also important. Activities that are urgent and also important. Quadrant 2 signifies activities that are not urgent. Please, there's a big difference. Activities that are not urgent but are important. What did I say quadrant 1 is? Urgent and what? Important. Quadrant 2 is? But are important, right? Quadrant 3 signifies activities that are urgent but not important. Quadrant 3 signifies activities that are urgent, they are pressing but are not important. Quadrant 4 signifies activities that are not urgent and that are not important. Before I go on to explain them, let me explain the meaning of urgent and important. Important activities are activities that if I don't do them, I want to explain in very simple terms. If I do not do them, I will not achieve my goal. They are important, right? But they are not urgent. The activities that I must do. If you don't read, you will. You are lying. You guys are lying. You can take chips. Am I correct? And you pass, right? Okay, so anyway, that's a joke. Please read. If you don't read, isn't it, you will fail. So those are important activities. Urgent activities are activities that they are important and you must do them now. They are activities that might not necessarily concern you, might not necessarily lead you to your goal directly, but you might need to do them. I'm using the word you might need to do them because they are urgent. An example of an urgent situation is that maybe while we were coming here this morning, we came here in a navy blue Corolla car, Toyota Corolla car, and while we were coming, just imagine that we're about turning to our left and a piece of nail destroyed our tire. You know what will happen? We would need to stop for a little while and either change the tire or repair it. Am I correct? That is an urgent activity that is also important. That is quadrant 1. It is a crisis. It was something that we did not plan for, but we have to do. Any activity that is urgent and that is also important, activities that you did not see them coming, you did not plan for them, but you have to most times do them. If your project was given to you last year and you have to submit tomorrow, and you are in chapter 1 by today, that project, that activity is now what? An urgent but important activity. Now listen. Any activity that is in quadrant 1 is always a function of not observing quadrant 2. I come again. Any activity that is in quadrant 1, most of the time is always a function of not taking quadrant 2 into cognizance. So what are the activities in quadrant 2? Activities in quadrant 2 are activities like preparation. So like the idea of project that I said is that the day the lecturer accepted my project topic, the next day I went to the library to get relevant textbooks. And I wrote what is called activities and timelines. That is what I need to do from day 1 to the last day and when I need to finish them. You see, when you do that thing in quadrant 2, you will never have an emergency most of the time, right? Because what? You are prepared. Does that mean that life cannot happen? You know what can happen? You can do all of those things and one good boy comes to your bag 2 days before you submit your project and help you relocate it. He didn't steal it, he relocated it. You would also be in a crisis situation. So I said that to say that quadrant 2 does not necessarily take away 100% crisis. What it does is that it reduces it to what? The barest minimum. You might come out healthy today, but on getting to Ibadan, Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, the dust might just make you have a flu. Am I correct? You were healthy this morning, but something that was beyond your control happened. Then a crisis happened. The fact that the tire was punctured by the nail was out of my control. You see, the fact even when I looked at my tire, looked at my plug this morning. So, activities in quadrant 2 does not totally erase quadrant 1 from happening. What happens is that it reduces it to the barest minimum. Do you understand? Next thing that in quadrant 2 is prevention, which is also like preparation, ample, checking your health most of the time, maybe twice in a year. You do proper health check. All of those things are to prevent something bad from happening. You read your books, all of those things. You prepare. And the next thing is values clarification, which is understanding why I'm living. The second thing is relationship building. I wish I had time, but I've talked about this before. There's something called, anytime we are teaching on team building, I always teach what is called the emotional bank account. What happens is that we as human beings, we are so quick to ask for help, to take from people we never invested in. You know what happens, ma? Because I know that you will always give me, even without showing care, even without showing love, even without showing courtesy, giving back to you, there will be a time, man, you will get tired of giving to me, showing me love. Because it will be like you are the only one giving and not getting. Even in relationship between husband and wives, girl and boy, when it is one side that is showing love, you know what happens? The other person feels resentful. Am I correct? And goes back. So one of the things that you must do as a quadrant 2 activity are things that make you build quality relationship with your family and your loved ones. You must do it on a daily basis. Even with your team. I'm sure for Toby to have achieved this, there were times that he went to just check Martins in his room. Martins, how are you doing? Things that were beyond lead conference, just to ensure that it is not only about coming and planning lead conference, it's about checking for the well-being of Martins. Let me move fast. Quadrant 3 activities are urgent but not important. An example is our phones. We want to quickly check the mails on our, it's urgent. Someone, just imagine my love. Maybe you saved the person's name as my love. Then there's a notification, bam, mail from my love. You want to check it, right? It's urgent. But you see, it might not be important. When we spend so much time on our mails, those things are urgent, but they are not necessarily important. Quadrant 4, in fact, the goal is, anytime we teach time management, we say that no individual should spend up to 30 minutes, and I'm not joking, on any quadrant 4 activity. Look at their time wasters, watching TVs, excessive sleeping, I said it. If you sleep for 8 hours every day, when you are 75, you will have slept for 25 years. That's the formula. Yeah, somebody said that the new addiction is not codeine. The new addiction is not cocaine. The new addiction is not drugs. The new addiction is Instagram and Facebook. Am I correct? The idea is that when you wake up in the morning, sir, before I greet my mommy and before I greet God, I've not opened my eyes, but I'm looking for my phone. You see, these activities, you are laughing. Am I correct? You do it right? Okay, thank you for saying the truth. These are the things that waste our time. So, listen, let's get serious. For us to be effective people and effective leaders, when you wake up every day, especially on Sunday evening, I tell you what I've been doing for the past 6 years. And I'm privileged that these are one of the things that have made me sort of put me out there in a public space to teach leadership, especially personal effectiveness in leadership. Is that when I wake up on Sunday morning, I look at every area of my life. My work, my school, like you, my relationships, my community, my relationship with God. And I look at it. What are the things I need to do this week? Listen. What are the things I need to do this week that will take me to my destination? Let's go to the next slide. Let me show you something. Just keep going. Just put everything down. Put everything down. Are we good? Now, look at it. I want you to do a test right now. Choose 2 areas of your life, like your family and career. Put it down now. Now, please fast. I know it's a bit fast. I have to round up in 5 minutes. Do that now. 2 areas of your life. Maybe your academics and your career. Just put that down. Now, if you put that down, write down 2 things you want to achieve in that area of your life. Put it down now. I need 2 people to, as examples. Just 2 people. Just do that. Be fast. I don't have time. Who has done that? Nobody. Now, write 2 goals each in those 2 areas of your life. 2 goals each. Who has done that? I know you might not get it perfectly, but just do something. I need to do something. So if you've done that, the 3rd thing you help me do is, what are the 3 things I need to do on a daily basis that would get me to achieve this goal? So the first thing was, identify 2 areas of your life. The second thing was, write 2 goals each. Things you want to achieve, your vision, your picture in that area of your life. So for instance, if I choose health, the goal for my health is that I want to be able to have sound health, less sickness. What do I have to do every day to do that? Probably do exercise every day, right? As an example. So, who has done that? Who has done the 3 exercises? Who has done the 3 exercises? Don't be shy, put your hands up. Who has done the 3 exercises? Who has done the 3 exercises? Nobody. You? Please come out, please. Fast. Please come out. Please clap for her. She comes out. Clap for her. Let's clap for her. I have 5 minutes more. Clap for her. I need one more person. Preferably a guy. If I don't have a guy, I'll go with a girl. Anyway. If you've done, just put up your hands. I want to be sure. Please come out. Give her a round of applause. Please, can I get an extra mic, please? Please, can I get an extra mic? Please. Please come out. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so in 1 minute, the area of your life, the goal, and the activity. Please, let's do this together, right? Let's go. And tell me your name. I'd like to know your name.
Okay, my name is Oladapolu Atobi, 300
Dapo.
level accountant.
Oh, great.
The 2 areas are spiritual aspect and academic aspect.
Education and spiritual life. Good.
I want to know God more than.
That's the goal. You want to know God more. Okay, even Paul said that.
Therefore, academic aspect, I want to get a CGPA.
Okay, so everything she said was vague, right? I'm not using a goal setting class, but this is what we do. So let's imagine I want to get the highest CGPA. That is vague, right? What you probably say is when you're writing your goals is that when are you finishing school?
2020.
By 2020. Okay, so for instance, December 31st, 2020, I want to have a 5.00 CGPA. You see the difference? It has a timeline. It is specific, right? There's something called SMART. You must have said it before. Now, the next thing is that you want to know God more. So knowing God is generic. You can probably say, I'm trying to think. So you want to, okay, let's just leave that. I don't have the time. Let's say you want to know God more. So what are the things you must do to know God more?
Plan.
Things you must do every day to know God more.
Okay, pray.
Pray, okay, and what?
Read the Bible.
And read the Bible, right? So 2 things, right? Now, in your education.
Plan. And manage time.
You must plan and manage time. You have 5.0 GB. You have a timetable to read. That's the action. You read, right? Because all these things you are doing, you're already planning. And the second thing you have to do is what? To read and what?
Manage my time.
Read and manage. Okay, I won't choose that. So the idea is now, look at this. Please, can you go back to that metrics? Next slide. Now, look at what she has done. She took her time to plan, right? The planning aspect is the listing of the area of my life, the goal I want to do, how I'm going to do them, the activity. The reading aspect and the praying to God is the preparation. And once you are doing that, you are building a relation. For instance, one of the things I'm going to do is that if I want to have a 5.0 CGPA, is that I'm going to probably look at the sharpest guy in the school, right? And try and be his friend. Am I correct? No, am I correct, guys? That is relationship building. And the core of what I want to do is that, and I know somebody is going to teach about maximizing, having a balanced life, I think so, is that every time I use time, I must be able to use time every day to cover every area of my life. So you are not just a guy that is good in class, but bad with God. You are not just a girl that is good to your boyfriend, but the last exam, they give you P, like just go. Do you get? So you have to probably have a balanced planning system and use of time. Because of my time, I won't be able to take the remaining guys. So let's just give them a round of applause for going, please. Let's give them a round. Thank you so much. Next slide. Now, when you understand what are the activities you are supposed to be doing, you know what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to now invest your energy there. Every time you wake up and somebody say, come and do X, and it's not in relation to the goal that you do, you know what you say? No. So this is an example of one of the guys that come for my trainings. This was his plan, team leadership factory, blah. So he was able to identify the different areas of his life, the activities he was do, right? Next slide. So when you now have that, you can now slot them into to-do lists. You don't just wake up and do to-do lists. You identify these areas, the activities you have to do, right? You put a date you have to put them, and those activities that fall on Monday, you now have them on a to-do list, right? Next slide. Now, next, let everything go. Next. Now, things I want to say is that don't just say that you know everything in your head. You know what Bishop Oyedepo said one day? He said, the faintest of pen is sharper than the sharpest of brain. It's better than the sharpest of brain. So I know it in my head. Don't know it in your head, though. Write it in your book. Am I correct? So you have to be writing. In fact, even if it's your phone, every phone has a notepad now. So every week, you put your activities there with timelines and dates. And you take it everywhere you are going to. The second thing is that no is a very powerful answer. You want to read for 8 hours because your goal is to become the best graduating student in Bowen. And Martins tells you, come, let's go and watch Telemundo. Telemundo is not bad if you want to become an actress. Telemundo is not bad if you want to become the next Omotola Jolade. Telemundo is not bad if you want to become Brother Shaggy. Brother Shaggy used to be my friend in the University of Lagos. In fact, so I know him very well. When all of us are playing, when I'm busy reading in the library, Brother Shaggy is in amphitheater or university or main auditorium. Guess what he's doing? He's acting. So, because we know that we have different goals, we're doing the things that will take us there. So you cannot measure my effectiveness based on what Brother Shaggy does. You measure my effectiveness based on my goal. So you must know how to say no. It's a very powerful answer. The third thing is that know what to do now. Things that you must do immediately, urgent and important. Things that you must delegate. If your mommy says, please come and wash the plate, and you have to read. You have exams tomorrow. You tell your younger brother, go and do it. It's called delegation, right? The next thing is that things you must delay. One else, please. There are things that are important, but you can't do now. For instance, please, can we go and watch The Merry Men? It's good to relax with The Merry Men, but you have to be at this conference now. So when you are done with this conference, you cannot watch what? The Merry Men. That is delaying it. Some things that you will delete, these are things that have no importance to your life. Say delete. When you delete something, it also goes away from your recycle bin. It means that it's not there. Pata again. You delete it permanently. The next thing is that put people over things. And probably this is where I'm going to stop. I've learned in life, sir, that the goal of every activity is to uplift human life. Is to ensure that I'm able to move the person I meet from point A to point B. In fact, the goal of every activity you have listed on your to-do list, on your plan, is to ensure that you become valuable enough to become a value to humanity. Am I correct? So every time I have a chance to help somebody, even though I have something to do, a thing to do, it's a matter of personal value. You know what I've decided? I will take that opportunity to change that person's life over that thing I have to do. So it is a personal value for me that every chance I have to affect human life, even though I have a thing to do, I weigh it up. Let me change your life. At the end of the day, the reason why I want to become a medical doctor is to save life. So if I see I have to save a life to save now, why don't I save, right? So the idea is that every opportunity you have to bet to ensure that you uplift people's life, you do it. On this note, I'm going to say this. I've discovered that you might be richer than I am. We do not have the same resources as human beings. Am I correct? We have people that their fathers are billionaires, and we have people that their father are 100naires. Do you get? The highest money in their house is 500 naira. It's possible. We have people that are more intelligent than the other. Our IQ is different. It's not equal. But I've discovered, sir, that there's nobody on planet Earth that doesn't have equal time. The same 24 hours that I have is what you have. The same 24 hours that Bill Gates has is what I have. The same 24 hours that Mark Zuckerberg has is what I have. The same 24 hours that Brother Shaggy has is what I have. But you know the difference between me and Brother Shaggy, or between us and Bill Gates, between us and Mark Zuckerberg, is that we do not understand in clear terms the goal we want to achieve in life. And because we do not understand in clear terms the goals that we want to have, we begin to invest our energy in activities that will take us far away from that goal. And the more we invest our energy in things that will take away from that goal, you know what is going to happen? That is what is going to separate successful people from unsuccessful people. So my goal today is not to wow you with the intelligence of my being, but it's to make you go home and think about it in clear terms. What do I want out of life? I can't answer that question for you. I've been able to put mine down. And because I've been able to put mine down, I understand that one of the activities I must do on a daily basis is to have a good communion with God and also engage with enough energy in studying materials that will uplift my wisdom. I leave you with a guess. What do you want out of your life? And what must you do on a daily basis? Thank you, and God bless you.
We can do better. Please rise to your feet and appreciate this man for that wonderful, wonderful session. Wonderful session. 1 minute.
Sorry. I thank you so much. I appreciate it. No, so I always do this every time I train, every time I fancy the train. So you might forget everything I said today, right? It's possible. So this is what you're going to do. I've noticed, sir, that people, everything I've said, they've heard it before. I can assure you. But it's that they do not have a system that would work one-on-one with them to ensure that everything that has been said has practical relevance on a daily basis. So at my organization, we created what is called a feedback system. So everything you've learned today and the action plan you would like to take, I want you to send it to me through this address. Please write it down. Please, can you go to, yes, look, it's on the screen. It's called visit bit.ly/TLF feedback form. So you'll be asked a few questions, what you learned, what you want to do. I'm going to get it. What is going to happen is that a member of my team, as soon as I get it, every 2 weeks, it's free. Don't worry. Don't be afraid that you will pay. You won't pay. It's that they will follow you up at least twice every week with your personal goal to ensure that you use your time well enough in achieving it. And if you have any other thing apart from what I said, you can send a mail to me at leadershipfactory78@gmail.com, or this one is my personal one, a WhatsApp on that phone. It's free of charge. And like I told Toby and Martins, I pray that Bowen University can actually have not just a one-day conference, but that as soon as you come into Bowen University from 100 level, there is a proper leadership training 1 week. And I've volunteered myself with Toby to help in bringing that kind of system, that kind of culture. So it's not just a 1 day or 2 day event that you have. Because, this is a quick fix, just to teach something in 2 hours or 45 minutes. But you build that system. So thank you once again, and I appreciate you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Yomi. I told you guys we're in for a thrill ride. And that's a wonderful session. Please send your mail to Leadership Factory.